Hi everyone, you all are good. We are here for grade 9 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 9 math, and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter factoring. The lessons we're going to cover today are GCF of monomials, factor out a monomial, factor quadratics with other leading coefficients. So here I'm on grade 9 math. Chapter we're on right now is factoring. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is GCF of monomials. Find the greatest common factor 8c square and 6c. So let's just to find the greatest common factor of two or more monomials, find a prime factorization of each monomial, identify the common factors and multiply them together. Let's just factor out 8. It would be 2 times 2 times 2, c times c. And 6c square would be 2 times 3 times c times c. So the common factor is 2 and c square, that is 2c square. The greatest common factor is 2c square. Let's just start with the test questions. Find the greatest common factor 9b cube and 6b cube. So let's just factor out. We can write this 9b cube as 3 times 3 times b times b times b. And this 6b cube can be written as 3 times 2b times b times b. So this is the factor, common factor, and that is 3b cube. That is 3b cube. Option number one is the correct option. That is 3b cube. Find the greatest common factor. 2b square and 4. 2 times b and 2 times 2. So the greatest common factor is 2. The correct option is 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Find the greatest common factor. That is 2 times 2 and 2 times 5q. So the common factor is 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Find the greatest common factor. 6n cube 2 times 3 times n times n times n. 2 times 2 times n times n times n. The common factor is 2 and n cube. That is 2n cube. 2n cube. Option number 1 is the correct option. Find the greatest common factor. 2 times 3 times f and 2 times f times f. 2f, the correct option is option number 2 is the correct option. That is 2f, option 2 is the correct option. Eight b and 6b square times 2 times 2b 2 times 3 times b times b. So the common factor is 2, that is 2b. Option number 2 is the correct option. Find the greatest common factor 6f and 9f square. So which is the correct option? That is 3f, option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Factor out a monomial. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. Seven q cube plus 6q square. So let's just factor out. Q square is the common factor. So that would be q square times 7q plus 6. Let's just start with the test questions. Seven q cube plus 6q square. So first thing we need to find is the common factor. The common factor is q square, that is 7q plus 6. That is q square 7q plus 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. Let's just take common out 2b square. We are left with b plus 4. 2b square, b plus 4. That is 2b squared times b plus 4. Option number 1 is the correct option. Factor out the greatest common factor. 2g, g plus 2. That is 2g times g plus 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Three u cubed plus 6u squared. Let's just take common 3u squared. We are left with u plus 2. That is option number 2. 3u squared, u plus 2. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, just retype the polynomial. 6h minus 8. Option number 2 is the correct option. 3k cube minus 6k square. So which is the correct option? That is 3k square times k minus 2. Nine g cube minus 6g square. That is 3g square times 3g minus 2. Option number 1 is the correct option. Three x cube minus 6x square. That is 3x square times x minus 2. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Factor quadratics with other leading coefficients. 3v square plus 10v plus 7. 3v square plus 10v plus 7. 3v square plus 10v plus 7. We need to do 7 times 3. That is 21. So we need to factor out, like we need to factor two numbers that when multiplied makes 21 and then when added makes 10. So 3v plus 7v makes 10 and 3 times 7 is 21. So we have 3v common, 3v times v plus 1 plus 7 times v plus 1. So v plus 1 times 3v plus 7. Let's just start with the test questions. Factor 3d square plus 10d plus 7. 7 times 3 is 21 and 10d. 3 times 7 is 21. 3d square plus 3d plus 7d plus 7. Because 7 plus 3 makes 10 and we multiply them, they makes 21. Let's just take common 3d, d plus 1 and plus 7, d plus 1. So d plus 1 is a common factor and 3d plus 7. That is d plus 1 and 3d plus 7. Option number 2 is the correct option. Three z square plus 10z plus 3. Three z square plus 10z plus 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So let's just factor out 9z plus z plus 3. So let's just take common 3z, z plus 3 plus 1, z plus 3. So z plus 3 is a common factor and the other one is 3z plus 1. Option number 2 is the correct option. Two z square plus 7z plus 5. Five times 2 is 10 plus 2z plus 5. So let's just take 2 common. That is z plus 1. So z plus 1 is common and 2z plus 5. That is z plus 1 and 2z plus 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. So we were working on grade 9 math. Chapter we were working on is factoring. The lessons we have covered today are GCF of monomials, factor out a monomial, factor quadratics with other leading coefficients. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button there to help you, or either you can write them down in the chat box. I'm here for all your questions and confusions if you have any. So any questions? No questions?